it's Tiffany.
And Faith.
And we're back for another episode.
Today is the 16th of February, which is a special day.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk about for this episode because it's a day that I've been looking forward to, that I know that's been coming up on the calendar. It's my 1-year anniversary to the day that I came out as transgender to myself.
Yay.
And to Faith, and then later on everyone else. So yeah, to get started, I guess I'll probably end up doing most of the talking in this episode. So, but we'll want your input too. Okay? Yep, okay. Cool. So leading up to the 16th of February, 2024, it had been probably about a year I started questioning whether I was transgender, because before then, I had been exploring my gender. I didn't even realize that that's what I had been doing. So really, we'll take it back real quick to when we first met, because we met on a dating app.
Yeah.
And we were chatting a little bit before we ever met in person. And, one of the things that I saw on your profile was you're bisexual. And I thought, well, that's going to be something that's very good for me, because I knew I had a feminine side, but I hadn't really been able to explore it. Am I doing okay? Is that good? Okay. Because even before I met you, I struggled with relationships because, I'm not a man, and I very much tried to be one in my relationships. I knew that I had a feminine side, and I was very scared of it. I really was. Knowing that you're bisexual, maybe, you'd be okay with my feminine side, it still scared me every step of the way. There were so many times where there was a step forward, but then I'd step back. There were so many times where maybe I was doing something and I thought, well, I'm not being a man. Maybe you wouldn't like that. It was hard because I really wasn't sure. I don't know. I wasn't sure someone was going to love me, to be honest. I really wasn't sure because I just knew I was very different. I knew I was very different. And I didn't want to be different. I wanted to just be a man. But every step of the way, you were still loving and supporting of me. And you tried to talk with me about it, and I had such a hard time. And I just wanted to so badly just share with you everything and who I was. I wanted to share that with you, but I was scared you might not like it. And I was really starting to like you, and I was like, I don't want her to not like me. I don't want you to not still love me. It was just very hard. The journey just to begin your transition, it's hard.
And you didn't even realize that that's what you were doing at the time.
No, the word transgender, that was not, it was nowhere on my radar. I didn't know what any of it was. It's not like it was taught to me at all. I had no idea. I just had these emotions and these feelings. If I did anything that made me feel a little feminine, I felt so comfortable and so happy and so different. And I shouldn't have felt shame for it, but I did. I felt genuine shame. What the heck is wrong with me? I hated it. I hated that, I was ashamed of this. And my idea of what transgender is, at the time, it was a very, very narrow definition. I thought I had to tick all the boxes in order to be transgender. Now I get it. Anyways, I am getting off topic now.
Not really, but we can bring it back. So
okay, you continued loving me, and that's all I ever wanted. It really was all I ever wanted. I was happier, and I was sharing more of who I was, and so you were happier, and you were more comfortable with me just being me. We've been together for almost 9 years, so I love you.
I love you.
Just a quick kiss. Okay. I just didn't want to lose you. And, thinking about it, I didn't want to lose anyone. I was so scared to be different. I was scared that I might lose friends. I might lose family. Random people might be mean to me. I don't want to talk about politics, but obviously the politics in America is very directly negative and anti-trans. So yeah, that hurts. And there's so much indirect transphobia too, though. And it gets internalized inside of you. And that's where that shame comes from other people. And I don't believe it. But then it makes you just feel bad about yourself and not wanting to be that way when there's no reason you should be ashamed. There's no reason why you should feel bad about that. Like, I shouldn't feel bad about painting my cute nails here. They're gorgeous. Okay, so now we will get back on topic. Roughly a year before I came out, started realizing after exploring for years and years, and actually I do want to just quickly mention, like in Wellington, like not all the time, but like every once in a while, I was starting to present feminine privately and acting more feminine. You know, I noticed other transgender women out in public, and I was jealous of them. I wanted so badly to be able to, like, I was hoping. I remember specifically one time, definitely, like outside of Countdown, as I was leaving and they were coming in, and I was like, I hope one day that I can be brave enough. Hopefully I can get to this point one day where I can be the person that I am at home privately. Like, hopefully I can one day be that way all the time in public. Just me. That's just me. Instead of just, you know, hidden behind closed doors in the privacy of my own home. Like, and I didn't know if I could. I really didn't know if I could get that strength. It just was a lot of fear. A lot of fear. Anyways.
Taking a pause. Does this look too big?
No. Okay. So for the, like, roughly 12 months, maybe, I don't know, before I came out, like, transgender just not being on my radar, but like I was being privately feminine, very feminine. I was living my life as a woman privately at home every day at that point. And it became so clear the difference between me in public and me trying to be a man and me at home privately living my life as a woman. It was night and day, the difference. Like, it was so clear that I prefer this. And for like the previous year, the word transgender all of a sudden got onto my radar, and I'm like, you know, I'm kind of trans, but like I still didn't meet those definitions of, like, you know, maybe someone who's known their whole life. I was like, but I don't know if I knew it my whole life. It was just never on my radar, and I never wanted it to be on my radar either. And I forgot that, like, you'd even asked me like once or twice before, maybe even 5 years before I came out, you asked me if I was transgender. And it was such an easy, definitive, no way. I cannot possibly be transgender. That's not even possible. I started thinking, well, I don't know. I might not meet the exact definition of what I thought. And so I was like, well, I'm kind of trans. Because, like, I'm clearly way more comfortable being a woman. I'm clearly way more comfortable with my feminine side, is how I thought of it. As the months continued on, I started realizing I'm, like, I don't know, halfway trans. I'm kind of trans, but not fully trans, whatever that means. And I brought it up to you. You might not remember, but like I was not going to say the word transgender, but I said, like, I think I talked to you about like my feminine side, and I wasn't sure exactly what my feminine side meant.
I don't know if I remember.
And you suggested, like, well, you could talk to Mario. Like, he knows, you know, because my brother, he's gay. My brother's gay. He's part of the LGBT community. And I was like, well, maybe.
And also, he's your brother.
He's my brother, too. Like, it's someone, because, like, I didn't know who to
someone
talk
you
to.
Can trust.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I can talk with him. He's perfect for a variety of reasons. He's someone close that I can trust, that won't say anything to anyone, because I was so scared someone would find out, people would find out. I was scared that you would find out. My feminine side, you knew pretty much, and you'd been questioning it for years.
When she told me that she wasn't transgender, I believed her.
Exactly, thank you. But I didn't want to believe it. I wasn't ready. July of the year before, July of 2023, it might have been June or July, I had a video call with my mom and my brother, and I told my brother I really, really wanted to talk with him about something after the call, after my mom got off the line. And so at the beginning of that, that's what I said. We chat, we laugh, whatever. All right, it's time to go. Bye. Love you. Gotta go. Bye. And I was scared to say something to my brother, but he forgot. He forgot that I wanted to talk to him on the phone. One thing is like, well, how do I tell him I'm kind of transgender? How do I not know what I am? I felt ashamed that I didn't even know what I was.
So were you kind of relieved that he forgot?
No, well, kind of, but like 5 or 10 minutes later, I was like, all right, well, Mario, hey, can we still chat just for a few minutes? Like, and then he goes, oh, sorry, like I have to go somewhere. Like, we'll chat later. Is that okay? I'm like, sure, sure. He didn't know what I wanted to talk about, but I wanted to talk about how I wasn't sure if I was transgender or not. Like, I didn't know, but I felt like I might be. And so I never ended up calling him back. And I think he forgot about it. And I just was like, I didn't know what to do. So I just felt embarrassed about it. And I just was like, I'm just going to forget about it. And you know what? And I kept thinking, like, you know what? Maybe I'll just be okay living my life privately. Maybe I'll just be okay being a woman at home. Maybe I'll just be okay with my feminine side at home. Maybe I'll just be okay that way. Maybe I don't need to be this way all the time. And then the months would continue going on, and it was just like, I don't know if this is going to be enough for me. Like, I'm, changing in and out of my clothes like multiple times a day. It was so annoying. Someone comes to the doorbell and rings, and you're like, oh, I'm like wearing a bra, I'm wearing a dress, just to like go mow the lawn or check the mail or just do things or just go to the grocery store or whatever I'm doing. I don't want to go and fake it out in the real world. Why don't I just be me all the time? And I had such a hard time getting that courage. Somehow, I don't know, I think YouTube, the algorithm just picked up on it. It was like voice training. And I was like, oh, interesting. And I was like, and maybe because I looked up HRT, because I was like, what about HRT? What does that do? What? And like, so there's a few things that I was looking up because I wasn't sure. Practicing my voice. And that'll be another video talking about the evolution of my voice. It's so bad right now, I feel like.
No,
but thank you. But like the first time I did my voice, and it's a recording from like October of 2023. It's so bad, but I was so happy because I could hear the faintness of a feminine voice, and it made me so happy. I could hear her for the first time. Let's get to the day. Okay. So what happened this day, the 16th of February, 2024? What happened this day a year ago? So, after months of being like, oh, I'm kind of transgender, but maybe I'm not fully transgender. I got to the point where I was so close. But I wasn't there yet. And I was like, I want to be this way all the time. I want to be this way forever. I don't want this to ever stop. This femininity that I'm living at home, it's not enough. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to be okay only being this way at home. I have to be this way all the time. I have to be this way all the time. But I was so scared of other people. I was so scared to be different. And I needed a little nudge. So I have a friend. I'm not going to mention their name because I don't know if they want me mentioning their name, but I hadn't seen them on social media. There's a few friends that I'm like, I have no idea what they're up to because they're on social media. And like, I've sometimes like Joey from like ASU, I'm like, what are you up to? Like, what are you up to, buddy? Like, I'm just like, I'm looking, have you joined Facebook yet? No, I'm like, I wonder, I'm Googling. I'm like, I want to know what they're up to. So like old friends, like, and they're not on social media. And I had another friend who was also not on social media. I'm like, I'm just going to look them up. Didn't see anything.
You saw a post on Instagram.
I saw like a recent post or something. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm friends with their partner. And I think it had something to do with their relationship or something. And I was like, oh, I wonder if I can see what they're up to. I don't think they post a lot on their profile. So I was like, oh, I still wasn't quite sure. And so I went through like the comments. I'm like, are they in here? Because I searched by name. I couldn't find them. And then I did see a comment. It was like, love you, babe, or something like that. And I was like, oh, that must be them. And they didn't have like their name like it was like symbols or something. So I was like, oh, this must be them. So I clicked on their profile. I was like, oh, connecting those dots and like, oh, wait a second. They're beautiful. They're just like me. I hadn't seen them in 6 years, and they were transgender, just like me. All this fear that I had. They had something that I didn't have, was that bravery to step out and be themselves. And I realized like they're doing this in America where it's a lot more hostile. And I wanted what they had. I wanted so badly to have what they had because I just wanted to be myself. I'm doing this. I'm going to do this. That was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. So anyways, so I wanted to reach out to them. And this was on a Friday afternoon. And you go to the office on Friday.
Yep. So I wasn't
So you
home.
weren't around. And it was, so I don't remember, I think it was like maybe an hour-ish where I was just kind of sitting there being like, thinking about myself and like, I'm really doing this. I'm going to step out into the world. I'm going to be this way all the time. And the fear is still very much there, but I'm like, I'm doing this. I don't care. And I was scared to lose friends and family, but I was like, if I do, I have to be me. I have to be me. No matter what happens, this is me. And hope for the best. Hope that people still love me. I don't want to worry about what people might say to me in public. I didn't want to worry about what if someone does something to me in public? What if they're violent towards me? I don't want to worry. I don't want to be fearful of that anymore. I was going to message them, but I couldn't message them. They couldn't be the first people that I told. There was no way. It had to be you. So when you came home, I was like, oh, wow. And I was just sitting with this weight of what I'm about to do here. I could lose you. I really thought like there's a chance that this was finally the step that's a little too much for you. It's a little too far. No, you started dating a man you do not want, like, I just thought maybe this was, every step of the way I thought maybe it might be a little step too far. And so you came home. And I don't know why, we don't go for runs on Friday. And you wanted to go for a run for some reason. Maybe because we didn't go on Valentine's Day, we didn't go like the day after, I don't know.
Yeah, it was probably a makeup run.
So I was like, sure. And like, you could tell, like are you okay? Like, are you upset? Because you would ask me a question, it was like a one-word answer, and I'm just like,
I could tell you were distracted by something.
I was very distracted. I was very in my own head with this weight of like, trying to be strong and brave. And not let fear get in the way anymore. And then we got ready and I still wasn't really talking. And so we'd go for like a 3-minute walk to like our starting point, and then we start running. And like on the walk over, you're like, you still seem like upset or sad, or what's going on? Like you're not really talking much. You're not engaged. Like something's going on. And it's like, you're right. And that's when like I'm like, all right, how do I do this? How do I do this? I don't know how, like, how do I do this?
We started running.
So we started running. And so I'm like telling you, okay, so what happened today was, my friend, like, I hadn't seen them in 6 years, had no idea what they'd been up to and all that. Well, they're very different now. And you're like, oh, okay. And you thought like, okay, is that what's going on? And I'm like, well, I found out that they're transgender. And you're like, okay, well, what's the problem? Like, that's bothering you? And I was like, well, I mean, I'm very happy for them, actually. It's just, I mean, that is kind of what's kind of putting me off right now, though. Because how were you feeling? You were like, you thought something.
Yes. It's like when you're not really having full thoughts, like, I think she's about to come out to me as transgender, but just things are moving in my brain, and she was very happy. You were very happy and like excitedly telling me about this. And also you were nervous. I could tell that something was going on. So I think my brain was sort of putting it together, but obviously I didn't really know until you said anything.
Yeah.
But I could tell something was happening.
And so you stopped running, because this is kind of an important thing. Like, maybe we shouldn't be running. I remember you being like confused. And I'm like, well,
I'm trying not to make assumptions again, like I did in the past.
And I'm like, okay, so yeah, my friend's transgender, and I want to reach out to them, not just because I haven't talked to them in 6 years. Like, I like also want to reach out to them. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm doing this. Like, oh God, I'm so scared. And I remember being like, I remember being like, well, I don't just want to reach out to them. I feel like I have to reach out to them because they're transgender. And I remember looking at you very, very quickly and going, and I'm also trans. And then just immediately looking down at the ground, and just the silence was deafening. I was just like waiting. I was just waiting for anything to happen. I was like so scared. I'm like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna say? I had no idea. And it seemed like forever. It seemed like forever. I was dying. It was probably only like 2 or 3 seconds. But it was just like, what is she gonna do? Is she gonna be okay with this? Is she still gonna love me after this? Like, I really didn't know. I didn't know. Do you remember the first thing that came out of your mouth?
No. No, I don't.
It was a shock to me.
Was it not good?
The first thing, and I think you probably waited a few seconds to like think about what you should say. The first thing you say is, well, I'm not surprised. Okay, I think that's a good thing. Is that a good thing? That must be a good thing. And I was like, really? And you're like, well, yeah, I live with you. And I was like, okay, fair point. I guess you wouldn't be surprised. And you're like, I still love you. I care for you. This doesn't change anything. I love you. And that meant so much to me. Like, it really did. It meant a lot to me. I love you.
Okay, people are watching. Get back to the story.
It was just so special. And I was crying because it was so much, there was so much weight on my chest and shoulders, and I, like I said, I wasn't sure how comfortable you would still be with me. And it scared me. But I knew what I had to do, and I knew how to be me. And I'm so happy that you still loved me. And we talked a little bit more about it. And we talked about how, I remember talking about how both of us were afraid. We didn't know what the world was gonna, how it was gonna be for me. Like, you were scared for my safety. That was a big thing. Like, you were very scared for my safety. And I was too. I didn't know. You were not just scared for my physical safety, but also just my mental safety, because, when people are mean to me, I can get sad. I get sad when people are mean. Don't be mean to me.
She's very sensitive.
Why are you mean to me? Please don't.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, should we just go back home? I was like, at this point, I was feeling on top of the world. The weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Like I literally felt like lighter. I felt like there were dark clouds, and I was like, everything was so clear. I felt so free. And I was like, it was the best run ever. I felt like I could have run forever. I could have just run and never stopped.
And that's how it happens. That's how Tiffany came out to me.
That was a really special time, a really special moment, a really special day. I finally got over the hump, and I finally accepted who I was, and you accepted me too. And it was really beautiful. To conclude the story, a few days later, and I remember it was a Monday, so like 3 days later, I reached out to my friend. They were amazing, super supportive.
Helpful.
Very helpful. We had a few conversations, phone calls. So that was pretty amazing. Oh my gosh, like for the weeks after that, weeks and weeks, I was just on I had never.
It was crazy.
There's no way I could have possibly ever felt better in my life. There's no way. Like, everything was okay. Everything was gonna be okay. I couldn't have possibly felt this magic feeling of acceptance.
Just to paint a picture of how emotional and happy she was, I woke up one morning to find her just in such a state, so happy, like just walking around the house, excitedly, and she told me that she had been up since the sunrise, and she watched the sunrise, and she was crying and
It was so
watching the
beautiful.
sunrise because it was so beautiful.
It was so beautiful. It was unreal. I cried. I cried at the
Cried so
sunrise.
much.
It was so beautiful, though.
Cried about
It
everything.
was so beautiful. And it was so crazy to be that happy. It was so weird. And like, it's settled in. I'm still, like, of course, like, I'm still happy. But, like, that level of happiness, I don't think I could ever have that again. Which makes me a little sad. That I can never be, like, so outrageously happy that, like, literally nothing could have brought me down. There's nothing that could have made me sad or angry. There's nothing. That coming out was like, I'm finally free. The relief that I felt, letting go of the shame. Oh, it was like I had won like $100 million in the lottery or something. Like that feeling of like everything's gonna be okay. Ah, I finally can be me. This video is long enough. Oh no.
Let me just gently
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Okay, we can wrap it up.
Wrap it
now.
up?
Yeah.
Your coming out story, and we'll be back with some more stories later.
Yeah, I think you just said it. I'll put that in the video. Okay.
Okay, bye.
Okay. Sorry you didn't talk a lot. Bye-bye.
Okay. Kisses.
Okay.
Zeke, kisses.
Bye,
Kisses.
bye, bye,
Kisses.
bye.
Bye, bye, bye.
Bye.